for Shay Ignite show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life. We are here tonight with another great show with another powerful influencer that is intended to be here just for you. Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining me another day in another way on this phenomenal show. I have got the awesome guest for you tonight. She is here and she is going to rock the house. So I want to tell you, thank you so much for so many of you viewing the just a moment of gratitude that I had last night. It was really amazing. And I just so appreciate each and every one of you because we know that gratitude unequivocally is the best attitude. So let's come on in. Come on in. It's time to win. It is time to win. Go ahead, tell your friends and tell your frenemies to come on in because it's time to win. I've got a spectacular guest for you tonight, and I can't wait to introduce her because you're just going to love her. So for those of you coming in, come on in. Let us know where you're joining us from. I see some folks coming in from Washington, D.C. already, and super happy to have you. So come on in. Let us know where you're joining us from. And don't forget to like, share, and start a watch party. And as I always say, go ahead and get a notepad. Why? Because note takers are money makers. I say this all the time, and it's unequivocal that tonight we are going to share some phenomenal nuggets with you to help you expand the way you think, expand the way you feel, and just win in every facet of your life. So for those of you that's just joining us for the first time, I want to welcome you to this platform and let you know that this platform is designed to empower and inspire people. So, hey to Ruth Verbrae, good to see you all the way out of Canada. Great to have you, Ruth. Thank you so much. So, tonight I've got a phenomenal guest. She is... Let me see, where can I start? She's been on Forbes. She has been all around the world. And right now, tonight, she's right here with us. Why? Because she cares enough to come and join us to help inspire and help ignite us. So thank you so much. Thanks, Ruth. Yes. Yes. Note takers are money makers. So tonight, I know you're really wondering, okay, Lotus, who do you have backstage? We want her up front. I know you want her up front. So I'm going to give you a couple of hints. And the first hint is that she's here. I know. So I know many of you are like, what? She's here. So I'm going to take a quick break while you come in. If you don't know what narcissistic behavior is, tonight, I've got someone that's going to blow your socks off. And I talked to her earlier and I said, you know, my audience has to wear 2 pairs of socks because you're just going to blow them out the box. So I'm going to go take a quick break and I'm going to come right back. And while I take this quick break, there's one thing I would humbly ask you to do. Go ahead. Grab a nice beverage. And tonight I'll be drinking a little bit of tea. I hope you're having something that you really love. So with all of that said, we're going to move right into the broadcast. So hold tight and I'll be right back. Welcome to the Lotus for Shay Ignite show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life. We are here tonight with another great show with another powerful influencer that is intended to be here just for you. Hey, I see you, Daisy, all the way from South Carolina. I see you. I know you'll be right back, so we'll be seeing you when you come back on the broadcast. So for those of you that don't know my guest, she is phenomenal. She is, of Forbes Business Council. She's on the Forbes Business Council. She's a global goodwill ambassador. She's an international speaker. She's an author. She's a quantum coach. She's the chief executive officer and CEO and founder of Dr. Bindu Babu. And she does have a PhD that she's going to share with you and me. Please welcome my esteemed guest, Dr. Bindu Babu. Hey, Doc.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being on the show. Super awesome. Happy to have you here. So I know both of us have been super busy. We did get to chat earlier today. And man, we talked about so many things, folks. You're not going to believe it. But tonight, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty and talk to Dr. Bindu Babu. She's going to share with us quite a bit about herself. I've already shared some things, but Doc, can you share some more? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do to make this world a better place.
Well, the first thing I want to say is thank you for having me, Lotus. I'm really, really happy to be here. It's a great honor. And you're right. We had a little quick chat earlier, which was really, really phenomenal. And to tell you a little bit about myself, I am a medical physician and I went through my own journey where I realized there was a little bit more than just allopathic medicine. And that opened my eyes by the book by Dr. Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters. He changed my world because this is another MD who also was the chair of psychiatry, and he's an Ivy League graduate, and he did hypnotherapy on his patients, and he tapped into their past lives. So this was something that, as your show would say, ignited fire in me, because it was something that I knew, but I wanted to recognize. So that was started my journey. I went after actually Dr. Brian himself, and I was trained by him to become a past life regression therapist. I'm a Reiki master. I did my doctorate in natural medicine. I did my PhD in integrative medicine. I am a member of Forbes Business Council. I was recently very honored with it. I have a book on narcissistic relationships, my soulmate, my love, my narcissist, because I do work with people on a coaching level of one-on-one in mindfulness, meditation, Reiki, and positive thinking. So I do a lot of reprogramming work. But my expertise is working with victims of toxic narcissistic relationships.
Did she go there, folks, or did she go there? If she went there, folks, put a number 1 in the comment below. If you don't know that this is going to be fire, this is going to be fire. So put in number 1 in the comment below. So Doc, you've done so much and you've been inspired by some of the top minds on the planet. You talked about Dr. Brian L. Weiss, the many lives, many masters that he talked about. And you also talked about your new book that just launched, I think, this past month. And we're going to get into that, folks. But let me ask you this. Who inspired you most to do what you're doing? Because what you do is not easy work. I'm in the psychology field myself, and I can only imagine some of the things that you go through when you're helping your clients, because you're not only a speaker, you're also a coach, and you really get in the trenches with people and help them. So who kind of helped you just stand and stay?
Well, one thing is, a lot of people don't know the awareness of narcissism and narcissistic relationships. People look at that word as anybody who takes a selfie is a narcissist, or anyone who's egotistical is a narcissist, or anyone who just speaks a lot about themselves. Now, that's somebody who's maybe an egomaniac or maybe full of themselves, but that's not a narcissistic personality disorder. And people who go through that, anyone, and I'm not talking about the narcissist, I'm talking about people who are in relationships with a narcissist, male or female, it is detrimental. They pretty much lose their lives. And I had my own experience where I didn't even know what hit me. And there was nobody out there who could really help me. I did my Googling, I did my research, I didn't understand. Fine, you come to a point where you realize this is a relationship and it is toxic. But how do you heal from it? And how do you pull yourself away from such toxicity? Okay, fine, you leave the toxicity, then what? You know,
Right.
we're stuck in bitterness, hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You lost your self-esteem. You lost your confidence. You don't know what you're going to do. There's cultural bias,
Mm-hmm.
society bias, just yourself. Like if it's a marriage, oh, wow, I'm a divorcee. Or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what about my children? I mean, you are faced with every type of judgment, horror that you never predicted that would happen maybe to you. You
Right.
know, you see this outside or other
Mm-hmm.
people's lives, or maybe, you know, on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do get married, let's say, you don't think beyond that, right? We think of it
Right.
as our final destination. So you don't know what hit you. And there wasn't anybody. And I put myself in this position where I've
Mm-hmm.
learned meditation, mindfulness. I went through my own spiritual journey. And
Right.
then I realized, wow, if I came out of that,
Mm-hmm.
anybody can. You just need the tools and the understanding,
Exactly.
the learning and the support.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided this is what I want to do. Not just medicine. I wanted to do the coaching and and
More.
reprogramming the mindset and doing more of quantum-based healing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And I know that's only the beginning, or just a little sample of what your story is about. But I want to kind of backpedal a little, because you started off in a way that I thought was very powerful. Because a lot of times when we talk about narcissism, we talk about it from the premise of men being narcissists, but we never look at women being narcissists. And I saw you on a show most recently, and you talked about that. And I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on this? Why do you think so many people look at men being narcissists versus the fact that women are narcissists too? Is it we're conditioned to believe that it's just men and not women?
Well, statistically, its higher incidence of narcissism is in men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's why you may see it more common.
Mm-hmm.
But women narcissists are horrible. You know, they can be really catty and nasty, and they can really be hurtful to a man. And you see both worlds, but because honestly, it's just the majority is falling under men. On studies and research, it's men who are more of the narcissists. That's really what it is. And then, you know, you see the outpour and the outcry now, especially everybody just talks about it and calls anybody or anything a narcissist, but that may not be what it really is.
So I'm happy that we were able to trickle back to this. And the reason why I'm so happy that we were able to trickle back to this is because a lot of people, I think we kind of get caught up by statistical data. Being a person who, when I was working on my doctoral, I was working on my doctoral of psychology, my PsyD. And of course, many of you know that are in the psychology field, we use a DSM-5, and it gives us a clear and definitive idea of what people kind of fit into that description. But there's something that you and we talked about, and we talked about statistical data. And you said, you know what, Lotus, I kind of like to not get hugged so close, basically, to the statistical data. And I think one of the reasons why is because anybody can be a narcissist. And although society may tell us that it's higher in men versus women, I think a lot of times there are many narcissistic women, but they're not being kind of exposed, if you will. So we can't just put a label on something when something happens in a relationship and say, oh, it's the guy. It's the guy. It can't be the girl. And I love that you took the opportunity to say, wait a minute, let's look at this thing from a level playing field. So with that being said, I know that you had dealings with a narcissistic spouse, and you went through HELL. How did you come out of that? Because a lot of people, I would imagine, get stuck in narcissistic, toxic relationships, and they don't know how to come out of that. How did you come out?
Well, just to go back a little bit about the DSM-5 that you were talking about, I just wanted to add was, you're very right. We did discuss about that statistics, but because the DSM-5, which is 5, right?
Yes.
There's so many levels. It's just not narcissistic personality disorder. You have sociopath, you have bipolar. Other different types of personality disorders. So these all correlate and relate to each other. And that's why there's never a clear cut. Oh, this is a narcissist. Even a narcissist is divided in so many ways. You have covert, overt, you have malignant narcissism. And that's why it's so important that you understand that you can't put every specific finding that this is a narcissist, but that characteristic cycle, characteristic behavior is like hands down.
Exactly.
And that's why that recognition is huge. Because now to go back to what I was saying, and that connection is why I'm talking about it. It's because when you're in it, it's so subtle the way it comes upon you.
Exactly. Exactly.
You don't even realize it's happening because it's a very typical cycle. It's the first 1 or 2 or 3 months of love bombing. Like the Prince Charming came, you have the best relationship, the flowers, the chocolates, everything, such loving relationship. And you become so into each other. It's like every 10 minutes it's texting and calling. And people confuse that as love, but that's a lot of insecurity in there, but you're not understanding that.
Exactly.
You love being that. You feel like you're the center of the world. And then all of a sudden, it's like little by little. You know, for example, if you're stepping out somewhere and you're wearing a dress, and maybe it's a little, a little short, and if it's a male narcissist, he'll turn around and be like, "That's a really pretty dress. You look great, but don't you think it's a little short?" And you might be getting unwanted, or you're getting unwanted attention. Yeah, and I don't want you to go through that. So why don't you think about that? So it confuses your brain where you're like, well, he loves me. He's trying to show me a better way. Let me go change.
Yes.
Then it's something else. Then it's something else. And eventually you start, changing all your behaviors, all the influences that you believed as your freedom. And you start changing as a person. And eventually it doesn't even help anymore. Like as you keep trying to please that person will always try to find a way that something's wrong with you.
Exactly.
And you become a real shell of yourself because you're wanting that love bombing.
I love it. Yeah. The love bombing. And for those of you that may not be familiar with the DSM-5, when she talks about it, it's kind of like a Bible for clinicians. This is like our Bible. Okay. And I love that she doesn't lean so close to it. Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of times when you're becoming a physician, we're taught to practice medicine, but the proof is in the pudding of the reality when we're living in these toxic relationships, because there are some things that we're not going to see in a book. So what you're saying, I love, because you're saying it from a personal aspect, and you're letting people know it can be so subtle.
So subtle.
You never see it come up on you. It's almost like the sweet drink that some people drink in Japan. You never see it coming, and all of a sudden, pow, it hits you, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm intoxicated. And I think it's kind of the same thing. You are intoxicated by their charm, by their charisma. And you in many cases say, this isn't happening. Yeah. So Doc, let me ask you this. Is it oftentimes that you've seen where people might say, no, it's not happening, but their family members can see it, but they can't?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, your family friend. Well, they see a change in you, because remember, the narcissist is very charming, very caring. Yes. They walk around the room and they will light up that room with their charisma. They know the right things to say. Nobody's going to believe that this man is doing anything to you. They just start seeing that you're pushing your family away. You're pushing your friends away, because all of a sudden, don't forget, as you start being with the narcissist, they try to just keep you with them and make you turn against your family and friends, because those are people who are going to strengthen you. So then they start to convert your mind that this person's influencing you this way, or your mother thinks this way, and then that plus As you notice you're losing yourself, you're embarrassed because you don't want anyone to see this relationship going bad. Mm-hmm. So there you go. You have this whole, let me keep my dirty laundry to myself. I don't want it out there. So there's a whole bunch of complexes going in your head. Exactly. But you're just trying to save everything. You don't want anybody to know. You don't want them to be involved in your life. You don't want them to think there's something wrong with your 100% perfect relationship that you're showing to the world. Everybody wants, there is a little bit, let's see what the Joneses are doing next door and let me do better. There's so much mental complexes that you lose the simplicity of what joy is between a relationship. Or
that's true.
It's not, or they're not supposed to complete you. You know that Jerry Maguire movie? Mm-hmm. Oh, she completes me or he complete. Mm-hmm. Horrible. People aren't supposed to complete you. You're supposed to complete yourself.
Exactly.
Your spouse or your partner is supposed to complement you. You're supposed to grow together and be strong together and be an empire and support each other to get into that strength of who you are. Not, I have this deficiency. Why don't you fill this up? And if you don't, let's just fight about it, or let me change you. And all sorts of these drama and complexes. That's not normal, people.
Exactly. And I always say, Doc, that we have to come to the table as a whole. We can't go as broken pieces. And I talk about this in my new book. I talk about the broken bird. And many of us are broken birds trying to just come together, but you've got to be whole. You can't depend on somebody to give you your happiness. It's like you owe me something. No one owes us anything. We have to create happiness from the inside out. So excellent point. So
and I just wanted to add, because it was an important factor, is it's when you don't love yourself enough and when you're seeking that from somewhere else, those are the people who are targeted as the victim of a narcissist, the codependent, because you're looking at this person who loves you so much. You're so into that validation that you will do anything to please that person. And those are the people who unfortunately get stuck like that. The nice people and they could be strong. And a lot of them are CEO, independent, financially strong women or men who get caught up in this, because it doesn't matter about your logical sense. This is about what you think of yourself inside. And that's how you get caught up in this.
Exactly. And so let me say this. A lot of people have been in relationships with narcissistic people, and we are not preaching to the choir, because we have some folks that are making comments and they're streaming in left and right. And I want to say hi to so many folks out there, and we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to take some of your comments. And if you have any questions, we want you to go ahead and share your questions, and we are going to give you some answers. We will be right back. Here we go. Make sure to join our upcoming show with the ladies of Bring Who You Are. We are bringing who we are, and we are asking everyone else to do the same. Rise above stress, rise above difficulty. Bring who you are. All right. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're going to write to some questions. All right. So those of you that are on, let us know if you like what Doctor is saying tonight. She is amazing. And many of you have put some comments in the comment block below. If you love what she's saying, go ahead and put a number 2 in the comment below. Put a number 2 in the comment below. We've got Phyllis Weaver all the way from North Carolina. Great to see you. And you talked about a book earlier, Doc, and Jemiah Jubilee said, I love the book. So she loves that book. And hopefully, you probably have it. So maybe that'll be a book that I'm going to read next month. Okay. So you love the book. I let us know which book you're talking about, because if you're not talking about the one she just held up in your hand, once you get it, you'll love it. So of course we got a bunch of ones in the house. Okay. And we're going to go right here to some comments. Jemiah Jubilee said, yes, she's been there. She's been in that type of relationship where she's been controlled. Phyllis Weaver also can attest to it, that she's been in that type of relationship, so controlling. Okay, question or statement. It's a very soulful spiritual journey.
Absolutely.
To go through it and to come out on the other side. And I think oftentimes when you go through journeys like that, it really helps you understand your strength and your worth.
Yeah.
And here we go. Fantastic. Dr. Selena Pinashimo said, fragmenting the soul into a smooth toxicity.
Powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful.
Very powerful.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that real quick. So, Doc, fragmenting the soul into a smooth toxicity. What does that mean?
The first thought that came into my head, and I'm going to say it, and this is even more of, I can relate to not only with all the clients I've seen, all the women and men, even as a personal point of view, you feel like your soul got wrenched out of your body and you are completely lost. You don't even know who you are, what you're doing, what you've learned. You don't know what's right anymore. You don't know what's wrong anymore. You feel that you were always a good human being. You don't understand how anyone can hurt a good human being. I mean, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. I wasn't perfect, but I was not, or I never deserved what I went through. And when you feel that way and you don't get that closure and you don't get that understanding that, hey, this happened and it's because of this, or maybe I did something and I caused this, you will never get that, because technically none of that really existed. It was all a manipulative process to control you. But why? And this is where the understanding isn't there, because there's so much hate talk about narcissists and hate groups and it's, you know, people who've left relationships but now are bitter and they just want to hate and get revenge and why. But it was a process, because you're talking about an individual, a narcissist, who's completely broken from whatever they went through. And they hate themselves so much that they don't trust anyone who comes close to you. And they need to pull someone else down to feel their self-worth, to validate who they are. And when you come to that understanding, and this is what I work with women and with men, you really heal, because you realize that it's not you. It's their journey and you were part of it. But guess what? You've learned so much through that journey too. You discovered your empathy. You've discovered your compassion. You've discovered so much about yourself that now you will heal, become the strong, authentic you, and you have become wiser. And, you know, I hear this a lot, like, well, now I'm going to keep my guard up. For what? Why do you need a guard? You're going to smell a narcissist 10 miles away. You're going to smell negative toxicity from anybody who tries to play with you. Now you've learned. You understand that you have put yourself first, where I love myself, that I don't deserve someone treating me this way. And now you can live free, with peace, with joy, with spiritual connection with the universe, and connecting to your inner core, and just living because you are complete with yourself. And that's the healing journey you need. And then everything else is past memory, learning lesson, move forward. You're going to wish that person well, and you're going to live your ultimate life.
Awesome. So we've got another comment about convert into conversion trauma. Convert into conversion trauma. Many people that I've had the pleasure of working with while working as a clinician, working for the Department of Defense, they had substantial traumas. And a lot of the traumas came from their family dysfunction. And then because of family dysfunctions, they ended up getting into relationships with narcissistic people or becoming a narcissist themselves. So can you please tell us a little bit more about the convert into conversion trauma? What is it and how does it happen?
Well, when you're talking about going in, for example, you were saying law enforcement, right? And you're saying people who've gone through trauma and they act a certain way, whether it's becoming a narcissist. I mean, narcissist, generally speaking, is from childhood trauma. You know, it's usually parental influence in a negative way where you're just never good enough. You're not perfect enough. No matter what you do, it's not, you're just not, feeling of being unloved and unworthy is so strong that they dissociate in a very strong subconscious level of themselves and their survival method, which is the coping, which is, you know what, I'm not worthy. And I'm going to always have this egotistical attitude to prevent myself from getting hurt. I'm not going to ever let anyone in that space. And a lot of times when you do become like that, yes, you can become bitter. But bitterness is a different way with law enforcement or people who deal with trauma in when they're in an older state, because you are getting jaded. You're seeing unkindness. You're seeing hurts, pains. That's a different type of healing. And that's necessary. And then if you have the combination of both, oh boy.
Yes.
Because now you feel entitled and you feel like, especially if you're, a police officer, for example, is a person who risks their life for you on the streets. No matter what race it is, no matter what culture they are, it is a man who's dedicated to save your life. And if you have trauma from the past, and if you're having trauma in the present and you're not getting that healing or that understanding, that position you're in of power can really get your ego. And it's very hard to differentiate the two. Any human being, you can't blame anybody. They need the tools to understand the two, to still be the kind and good person they are inside and heal from the past to do justice for the public, But trauma in general, there's so many different ways a person can respond to it, but that's their healing. That's their process. But in a narcissist, there's no healing. A narcissist cannot be cured. This is a completely different situation. This is a person who doesn't ever recognize there's anything wrong with them. It's always the other person's fault. Even if it's a woman narcissist and a male victim, well, honey, you're doing this because I'm treating you this way because you just don't know how to cook properly.
Right.
And I'm going to throw this plate and you're going to have to clean. Look at that mess. If you just cooked my chicken right, we wouldn't have this mess. I wouldn't have broken that plate. You wouldn't be crying. So next time, prevent it. This is your fault.
Exactly. Because it's really about blaming the person rather than showing them the love that they deserve. So because I don't want to show you the love that you deserve, because really it's not really about the other person. It's really about them. But if I can make you look bad, if I can break you down, if I can make you feel bad, then I'm good.
Well, in the example that I was just saying, it's more of you're disrupting my dinner and you made this bad, even though I taught you this 150 times, which means I am still not worthy for you. You didn't care enough it's so deep, cook for me properly. And I had a rage. I got triggered and I did this whole mess and it's your fault. It's not even about that person and making them feel bad. It's always about them. The narcissists don't sit there and say, hey, let me make you feel bad or pull you down on purpose. It's a constant cycle where anytime they feel insecure or bored or they feel bad about themselves, they need something to increase their supply. And that's what a narcissistic supply is.
That being said, we have a couple of comments or a question that we want to go to. Is there one consistent red flag that can be seen early in the relationship. And I think you've talked about that. So I want to kind of expound on that. Is there signals? When we see the signals, what should we do and how can we get help?
You know what? In any relationship, if you're in a relationship and you start getting red flags, that alone itself, you need to run. You need to move on. And I'm not talking about simple red flags doesn't mean, oh, well, he likes chocolate and I like vanilla. We're talking about when somebody sits there and says to you, you know, I think you're wearing your hair too long and you're trying to attract attention. That's not right. Chop it off and make yourself look more, masculine so that you can be, not attract that attention. I mean, these are people trying to change who you are instead of accepting you for who you are and loving you for who you are and appreciating your thought process. Right there, it's a no-no. It's a no-no. It's not, honey, that black dress on you looks great, but maybe a red color would look better. That's a different story. They're not changing who you are. They're not making you change your clothes or wear a certain way or try to make you cook in a certain manner or not stop you from talking to people. Or even, there are incidents, I mean, people go through where, it's simple when you see a male friend and you give them a hug or you give them a kiss on the cheek. Oh, no, you can't do that because that's you trying to get attention. You're just trying to rub yourself up on him and, start a whole bowl of fire. I mean, these are not normal. That's an insecure behavior. And you need to recognize any red flag in any relationship and you must walk away. You must run.
And I want to say that we have some men on here. And they're saying, me too. This has happened to me. And this is the very point that we were making at the top of the broadcast, because we wanted our men counterparts to know that this show is not just about women. This show is about all of us, all of us, men and women. And it's happening to men. And like Matthew said, it's happening to him. So what would you say to him in regard to that? But before you say that, he has one more comment. Let me bring that up. He said, it's having compassion with a 3-foot spoon. Can you speak to that, Doc?
It's having compassion with a 3-foot spoon. Now, I need to ask, is he talking about compassion of your partner or yourself? Because if it's about a partner, it has nothing to do with compassion. You see, narcissists loves you. They do. They just can't love you the way you want them to love you. Number one. Number two, they will always love themselves first. They have to. They'll fall apart if they don't. They have a serious personality disorder. And, you can be compassionate, but if they are stuck and believe that this is your fault, and you can be crying your eyes out, you can be on the floor bleeding to death, but if you, in their eyes, is wrong, they will walk right past you and continue doing whatever they were doing as if you don't even exist. Because in their head, it is a very cut black and white thinking. You are wrong. If you're crying there, bleeding away, that's on you, not my responsibility. Take care of yourself and move on. They're just, I'm done. So it's not even about compassion. They are very about themselves. This is your fault. It's never their fault. So don't ever expect the narcissist to come to you when you're crying after a fight to be like, oh, you know what? This was hard. It's my fault and your fault. Don't cry. No. It's always, even if they come to you and hug you and say, I love you and hold you, it's baby, you know what? You shouldn't have done this. It's your fault. You shouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have behaved this way to you. I would have came home earlier, or, I would have helped take care of the kids, or whatever it may be. It's always your fault.
Right. Because it always winds back around to you, because it's like a vicious cycle, and the cycle is never ending. But the spindle is not going to stop on them. It's always going to stop on you. So I think someone was talking about, they can't be cured.
No.
So
I'm still I'm waiting for that.
Let's talk about that for a moment. We're going to talk about that because I saw you on the show before and you talked about this and you talked about it, but I noticed that you really was able to share with people the thoughts and the scientific data, if you will, that go behind that, why they can't be cured. And I think people are saying there's a cure for everything. Why can't they cure this? You know, so we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and we are going to talk about why they cannot be cured. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. Welcome to the Lotus Richey Ignite Show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life. We are here tonight with another great show with another powerful influencer that is intended to be here just for you. And so thank you for your question why or response, while they cannot be cured. And many of you know narcissists. And some of you that are just coming in, come on in, get in where you fit in, because I've always got room around my table for you. And tonight I have a remarkable guest on the show, and we are talking about different things dealing with narcissists, how to identify them, what the red flags are, who they could be, and is there a cure? This is my friend and your friend. She's a Forbes Business Council. She's a global goodwill ambassador. She's an international speaker. She's an author. She's a quantum coach. She's a chief executive officer and CEO and founder of her own company called Bindu Babu. And tonight she's here talking to us about narcissism, how to detect it and how to run like hell from it if you have to, because she survived it and she can help you survive it too. So before we go to wow, they can't be cured, we're going to go to a quick clip and kind of get an idea. So if you're not sure, if you're just joining, you don't know what a narcissist is, if you're not sure of the behaviors, I'm going to share this quick clip with you. Here goes.
Bob, wait a minute. I ain't through talking to you yet, now. Think about this. Wasn't nothing without me, and you ain't gonna be nothing without me.
You know, I was wondering when the Black Turner was gonna show up.
You go ahead on, do your la-di-da thing. Go ahead. Yeah, all right. Go ahead on. You ain't Donna Summer. I'm gonna see you again, man. Damn it, you done broke my book. What you done did now? You done messed up a nice automobile.
So right, it's back to the blame. It's back to, I'm going to get you. It's your fault. So that's a glimpse. And many of you may have heard of the Tina Turner story. And I want to thank Tina Turner for this clip in the movie, because this is a clear concept of what a narcissist is. So, Dr. Bindu, tell us, wow, there is no cure.
There's no cure because you're talking about a person who's so detached from his inner self, who uses such a coping mechanism such as ego to feel good about themselves. That means they can never do wrong, and they can never see themselves doing wrong. And if they ever did anything wrong, it's always the other person who did it. So if you think you're okay, and if you think you're perfect and you're God's gifts on earth, and you believe that there's nothing wrong with you, why would you want to help yourself? You are already helped.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine. So there's nothing wrong with a narcissist in their eyes. They feel nothing wrong with themselves. And what happens, unfortunately, is when you are involved with a narcissist, that connection is so strong because you're talking about a whole cycle of the ups and downs. It's like a drug addiction. right? Like there's a hormone-based scientific proof of the whole dopamine going up, the serotonin, the endorphin.
Exactly.
It is literally a drug addiction. It's called trauma bonding, where you have
Yep.
the highs of the love, and then you have this whole toxicity of fighting. And then, makeup sex is great. And you have this strong relationship with somebody, and you feel so close to them that you see them as your soulmate. And they will always tell you, there are moments, narcissists will tell you, you're the only person who can understand me, sweetheart.
Yep.
I went through so much, and I'm struggling, I'm trying, you can see it. Don't give up on me. I love you. I need you. I can't survive without you. And all of that is true. But within a blink of an eye, that changes too, because they are always about themselves. And this is why it's so difficult for men and women to tear themselves apart, especially men. Men are always feeling like they are the head of the household. They need to save the wife and take care of the woman, and if she goes nuts, it's because she's having a bad day or she's stressed out with the children. There'll be always excuses. So men will always try to stay and pull it together as the alpha in a family. And they keep taking it because they'll be like, I'm not weak. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to just keep taking somebody treating me like dirt and toxicity. And I will lose everything in my life and power to do so. So men go in one direction, and then you have women who's like, well, I'm the nurturer. Let me save him and let me take care of him and give him the love he never got. And that's what he needs. And I can save us, and I can do it for both of us. And there's such different thinking, but same concept that's so pulling. And we are also taught by society, by religion, certain religions, no divorce, do not leave the partner. Society looks upon divorce bad. People who have children stay for the kids.
Yes.
I mean, so much pressure on a person of what the right thing to do is that you take it, and that's why you can't pull out of it. And then when you see your partner going through this and you believe that you know them so much better than anybody else in the world, and you do, let's say, hear the word narcissist and you Google it up, or you find me and you start coaching with me, they start asking and get the awareness of the situation. Then they're like, well, you know what, doc? I bet you if I tell him that he's doing this, he's going to change.
Nope.
And
not going to happen.
And it's hard because everybody loves that person. But you have to walk out, because you need to understand this is you. This is your life. You can have people in your life that you love. It doesn't mean you need to live with them and destroy yourself for it.
Exactly. And I love it. And so we talked about you being in it, you overcoming it. And we have so many people, both men and women, that's chiming in. And Matthew said ego. A large part of it is the ego. What would you say about that, Doc?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, ego meaning it's an egotistical that's what we call narcissistic supply. And they need their ego to feel good about themselves. First of all, people generally feel good good on ego. They feel better about themselves when they have it's a protective mechanism. But narcissist takes it to a different level where their survival is on their ego, because they hate themselves so much inside. So ego it's ego will you can't crush their ego, they'll fall apart.
And Matt said that, you hit the nail on the head. And I want to go back to a statement that Miss Phyllis Weaver said. She said, living with a narcissistic partner is and can be devastating. She said her ex was a narcissist and she endured for many years, actually, and she was able to come out of that. But during that relationship, she had 2 children. Yes. So how are the children impacted by this type of behavior within the home, this dysfunction?
Having children in a household of narcissistic parents, it depends. Now, if you're talking about leaving, that's a whole different ball game altogether. But whether it's narcissist or bipolar or borderline or sociopath or whatever, or just regular toxicity and anger,
Yes.
Children should not see toxicity like that. It's not healthy for them in general, whether it's a narcissist or not, you know. But in a case of narcissism and you're trying to leave, yeah, that's a different ball game altogether, because your children are used to be pinned against you.
So I've got this question for you, because this question came to me from one of my clients a few years back. She asked, had she damaged her child beyond repair, if you will, because the child was maybe one and saw these types of behaviors within the home. So what would you say to a parent that has dealt with a narcissistic partner and they're concerned that the children have been impacted in such a way that they can't heal from it?
So it depends. Do you mean the toxicity between the parents, or what do you mean by what is the child exposed to?
Toxicity, even violence in front of the child.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
Due to the narcissistic behavior.
Well, it's domestic violence. I mean, any sort of violence, toxicity. I mean, you treat the child. Let's say if the husband is the victim, and the wife is a narcissist, you treat the child's father like garbage. Of course, the child's not going to value you, or there's no confidence or strength of a child going to deal with that. It's going to trauma. There's going to be trauma. But children are also resilient. And children have to grow. And the best thing you can do is give them the love and support and take them out of it. Take them out of it. A lot of times our religion, culture, people stay together because they're like, oh, we should stay together. It's better for the children. Do you really think so? Do you think watching your children growing day in and day out, watching their parents fighting like cats and dogs, breaking plates, maybe even physical violence, forget it, mental violence, you think a child feels safe in that kind of a condition, or feel strength from their parents, or feel confident with themselves in their growth process? You know, there's going to be trauma. So you have to make that educated decision of your household, of what is good for your kids. But don't use your children as a reason for you to stay, because you're not strong enough to go.
I love what you just said. And oftentimes people don't leave because they're not strong enough to go, and the children stay and they're consumed by these types of behaviors. So folks, we've got another question coming up, but we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back. So stay with us. Here we go. I want you guys to see this wonderful book on our break. I hope you enjoy it. All right. I think it stopped a little bit, but it's okay. So what I'm sharing with you all today is a wonderful book. So if you haven't seen her website, if you haven't been there, you definitely need to go there and check it out so that you become familiar, because these types of behaviors, they're not going to go away. And you've got to take action. If you don't take action now, you're going to forever be stuck in the nightmare, because it's unequivocal that it's a nightmare. And to that point, I want to talk about this question. Is it a learned behavior? One of our viewers wants to have the answer to that question. Is it learned, and can they unlearn it?
No, it's a coping mechanism. It's not a learned behavior. It's trauma that they've gone through in childhood or some phase in their life where it's continuous feeling they're not good enough. And it's a coping mechanism that they have learned to become that way so they can survive.
All right. So it's really a survival tool, almost kind of like when we go hunting or fishing, we're hunting and fishing to eat. So when they're using this as a coping mechanism, is it that they don't have any other mechanisms that they can use to deal? Or are they using what they know best because it's familiar, it feels right?
It's what's worked. right? It's what's worked for them. It's made them survive even codependency. If you think about this, is narcissism is whole thing about ego and getting the egotistic supply to feel good about themselves.
Yes.
Codependent is people who feel unloved. So narcissist feels unloved, codependent feels unloved. But the way codependent works is I feel unloved, but the more I please you, the more I give you love, the more I iron your clothes, or the more I buy you things, the more I go back and call at you. And as you feel pleased and keep patting me on my head saying, you're wonderful, you're great, makes me feel loved. And that's not mine, but that is a codependency mechanism. That's how they work. That's how they feel validated. That's how they feel good. As I keep pleasing you, I feel worthy. While a narcissist, I feel worthy as I trash you and you still stay. That means I must be important. Or as I keep trashing you and you still change for me. As I watch you walking on eggshells because you don't want to upset me. As I see you change yourself from the person you are for me, means I'm important.
Exactly.
So these are different different coping mechanisms of survival, of feeling your worth.
So I have another comment. Manipulation. Is this manipulation?
Oh, sure. Both are.
Because sometimes when people are stuck in these type of relationships, one of the first things that their families will say, and or their best girlfriends or best guy friends, man, they're manipulating you. They're just manipulating you day in and day out. And oftentimes the first thing people say is, they're not manipulating me. I just, they just need me to do this so they won't do that.
Yeah, it is. It's not it is manipulation,
right?
Because they do it so subtle that you think it's love. It's confusion of love. Like people look at possessiveness when, for example, a man is possessive of a woman. Oh, he loves me. No, he's just insecure. But the fact that you like the feeling of being controlled, you have an issue too. And allowing it is another way of manipulating because you're getting what you need of worth from that person. So you do it. Sometimes it's not always about saving. It's about getting what you want. It's just like when I have a certain couple that comes to me and they're like, well, I check his phone at all hours. And she lets me check her phone at all hours. Like, let me see their whereabouts in that manner. And one person wants to control. The other one wants to feel the need of control. Because when they feel controlled, they equate that as love. So they manipulate each other. And they don't even realize it. And they look at it as normal. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of what Dr. Shimo was talking about earlier. It's kind of a smooth massage. Right. We're both kind of in our even keel space because I am the narcissist and you like what I'm doing to you. So you're going to take it. So it's just this tug and pull and it's chaos.
Yeah.
So we are at the top of the hour. And I got to tell you, folks, I'm super happy to see each and every one of you. I know I typically take more breaks, but folks, you have been amazing. We already had some things we were going to talk about because we like to keep this thing organic. But everything we were going to talk about, you guys asked the questions. You brought it out. And I told you, Dr. Bindu was going to blow your socks off. And she has. And so I want to share this with you because Dr. Bindu has a book that's out. She launched this book in June. And if you have not got this book yet, I urge you, go get this book because this book will change the trajectory of your life. Okay. This is called My Soulmate, My Love, My Narcissist. You got it? You can pick this book up. It's very affordable. Go on Amazon. Here you go. I got it right here for you. Get this book, My Soulmate, My Love, My Narcissist. It's healing and recovery from a narcissistic relationship. And I'm sharing this book with you because I've seen several of you say, this has happened to me or this is happening to me. And some of you took so many years to get out of the relationship. And I'm confident you don't want to go back to a relationship like that or see anybody go through a relationship like that. So if you know somebody, or if you yourself are going through this narcissistic relationship, please share this book with them. You will be happy that you did. So, Doc, I want to ask one more question as we begin to wrap up the show. Phyllis Weaver shared that it took her 10 long years to get out.
Yeah.
For some people, they seem to feel that they're locked in this maze. They don't think they'll ever get out. And sometimes the way out is sometimes through death. Oftentimes the narcissist will murder the person, or they will murder the narcissist because they've had enough. But what would you say to people that are going through and they want out, but they don't know how to get out?
First thing is recognize your self-worth. You know, a relationship is not meant to be in toxicity. You know, yes, nobody's perfect. We all have our ups and downs. I always say marriage is like a circle, you know, not the heart, where you have the love and it goes really high and you love that person. And then there's certain days where you just can't stand them because they're annoying you. And then it goes back, well, I love him. Or then you come back. And that's what a relationship is. But when it becomes disrespectful, toxic, completely pulling you down 24/7, and you have fear in your heart and you're not happy. And if you're sitting there downplaying it, saying, I can take care of this because I know he or she loves me, it's not worth it. It's not. And yes, you will feel that pull. Yes, you will feel that person in your soul. Even if they're bad or good, you have to understand something. When you love someone, you love them. You love them for their good and you love them for your bad. But you have to make that decision that is this worth it? Do I want to live the rest of my life like this? Do I want to get my family involved in this? Do I want my children to go through this? Is this the life that I want to lead? And that's your first decision. And then after that, you will go through your journey and honor your process. You're going to go through back and forth. You're going to be confused. You're going to go through so many situations. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people who aren't in a narcissistic relationship, they don't understand the concept of, well, if someone is treating you bad or if someone's hurting you, it should be a no-brainer, walk out. And my equal question for you would be, if someone's trying to lose weight, then why don't you just stop eating?
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you see a piece of cake, you know it's not good for you, just stop. No, you have a pull towards things. You like certain things you love. And you ignore the fact that, hey, that cake's going to get me an extra roll on my body. Or you ignore that because you look at the positives in it. Because it's so good. It's the same thing. When you look at a relationship or you're with a woman or a man who you love, you do ignore those negative things. And even if those negative things means it's so toxic because you love your cake. You like the way it makes you feel. And this is where you have to make a disciplined choice that I'm going to put this aside because I deserve better and I want to be happy and I don't want that type of relationship that hurts me so much. I don't deserve crying every day.
Exactly right. And I want to say we've got folks still streaming in, even though we're at the top of the hour. Nadine Pina Medeiros says she's been there.
Yeah.
She's been there. For those of you that have been there, I challenge you to put a 4 in the comment below. If you've been there and you've come out on the other side and you've had the support of people right here on this broadcast, or you've had the support of wonderful people, just like our wonderful Dr. Bindu Babu, that helped you get to where you're going. Put a number 4 in the comment below, because I know it had to be hard and you overcame, but now you have overcome and you're a living example to other people. And I congratulate you for that. And all those of you that are out there that has helped people overcome these situations, I thank you and I congratulate you. And Dr. Selena Pinashimo said, yes, honor yourself, know your value.
Yep.
And we've got some 4 streaming in. And we're happy for you that you got out that you're overcome. And Matthew put something else up here that I want to address. He said, and you better make sure you guard your bank account.
Well,
So
yeah.
we at the finance piece. We can't go out of this broadcast without the finance piece, Dot. What about the finances?
Well, it's just like in any sort of divorce or any sort of relationship. I mean, when you're talking about war, it's war, and they will get you everywhere they can get you. They will hit you right below the belt. It's no other way. They will go after the finances. They'll go after your car. They will go after your job. Narcissist gets really nasty. I mean, there's no, you have to remember, these are people who overstep boundaries.
Yes.
So they can even call your job up and curse your boss off. And you would lose your job. There are situations where they will hide your car keys so you can go to work just to teach you a lesson. Everything is about teaching you a lesson. You did this, so you deserve to lose your job. If you didn't get me upset, I wouldn't have hid your car keys. That's your fault. They will do anything to hurt you. They will find your biggest weakness and will hurt you and pull you down and that the fact that you still stay feeds their ego. So it is very traumatic. It's very hard. And that's why there's so much PTSD after. The post-traumatic syndrome after is terrible. And this is where, once you do step out, challenge yourself. And I'm going to take that a step higher and start becoming mindful. Go through your meditation. Find someone like me who's a coach who sits down, reprograms a mindset, because this is not just reprogramming your mindset. There's a whole science behind it called epigenetics, where your mind and your thought process changes your DNA structure, even for healing and healthiness in your cell structure. Your energy changes. You will have a more positive outlook, and that positive outlook will bring you positivity. And I always say that because it was very traumatic for me, very traumatic. I had 4 little kids on my own, and I put myself back into school, did my PhD with a full-time job, raising 4 children with everything against the world, society, family, everybody, because we're talking about such a big taboo. And today I'm a Forbes Council member. And I'm saying this not because, I have these letters or I did all these things. I mean, if you go through my background, sure, I've achieved quite a number of things, and I'm very grateful and I'm very blessed. But these things, I do it to give a testament for people who are suffering that, yes, you can come out of it and heal to the person you really want to be, who you really are. You don't need to be bitter and angry. And you'll forgive, you're going to let go, you're going to move on, and you're going to live the ultimate life you deserve.
Exactly. And I want to share this with you folks. You never know who's going through this.
Yeah.
So know the signs of people who are going through this, because many years ago, I was dating someone who was a narcissist, and we got into this scuffle, and I was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I'm leaving. I'll be back tomorrow. And I packed my bag in my own house and I was leaving. And so they grabbed my bag and took my bag and hid it so I wouldn't leave. But I ended up leaving that night anyway, and they ran after me, and I was like, get away from me. And the thing is that they too were a victim at an early age, where they saw their father beating their mother with tools, hitting the mom. And they were trapped in the dysfunction because they thought that dysfunction, if the dysfunction wasn't there, there was a problem. And so you don't have to live in dysfunction. You don't have to live trapped. You can recreate the way you think, but it all starts with what you decide to do. And I want to quickly go right to a quick break, and we're going to come back. I'm going to share Doc's website with you. We've got so many people streaming in, and I know you guys are not ready for the broadcast to end, because I see so many people. No, bring it back. Okay, but we're going to take a quick break. I mean, a quick second break, and we're going to come right back. We're going to go to her website. We're going to talk about her website. We're going to talk about how to get in touch with her, and then we're going to talk about bringing Dr. Bindu back. Be right back. So many people out there today are saying, hey, Lotus, I want to start my own podcast. I want to do blogs and all that. Well, guess what? We help you with personal and business coaching. We also help you to explode your brand by upbranding. We also connect you to people beyond your front yard that don't even know you. Let us help you connect with people globally and expand your territory. Contact us today at lotusignite@gmail.com and let's schedule your discovery meeting now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to bring you all to her website. If you are looking for someone that can help you cope and deal with some of the things that you're going through, she's going to help you transform. She's going to help you start your life anew. She has been all around the world. Like I said earlier, she's a quantum-based transformational life coach. Not only that, she's an expert in narcissistic toxic relationships, and she will help you help yourself ignite and take flight. Now, from there, the rest really is up to you. It's really about what you want to do, because it's unequivocal that she can help you in so many ways. I want you, if you would please, don't hesitate. Go to this website, and I'm going to go right back here, and I'm going to share this with you. Go to this website, check her out. And also, I'm going to share this quick video with you. I tried to share it earlier. It stopped a little bit, but we don't give up. We just don't give up. Here we go. Make sure you get her book. You'll be happy you did. No matter who you're dealing with or how you're impacted, Dr. Bindu Babu can help you overcome. It's a choice. Well, thank you so much for letting us share that with you, because it is unequivocal. It is a choice, and the choice is yours. So with all of that said, Doc, we've got a couple of folks, they're asking for us to please bring you back. So
I'd love to.
So folks, we're going to bring her back. And Doc, I want to say that Phyllis said she lost all to her ex-husband. So when we come back, Doc, I'd like to explore how people can recover after losing everything they've had. Maybe we can open up with how to restore themselves, because it's unequivocal. It's time to change our personal narrative. And without changing our personal narrative, we'll never change how we behave and how we move in this life to ignite and take flight. So there you have it. She's coming back, folks. She's coming back. If you're happy that she's coming back, put a number 7, God's number, because I want you to send her God energy, because she's going to come back and she's going to help yourself ignite and take flight. So make sure, folks, you come back, you see her, you get these wonderful nuggets, because I told you she was going to knock your socks off. So, Doc, as we close, what are your final words of wisdom to our viewers that have so humbly stuck with us? People still streaming in, and we've got so many 7s coming in. Thank you so much. I can see them on my phone. It takes a minute for it to get on the screen. Bunch of 7s. Phyllis, Matt, Dr. Selena Shimo, Nadia. Thank you so much for all the 7s. We appreciate you. So, Doc, what would be your last words, nuggets, wisdom? What you got?
I would say is it's very quick to judge. Very quick to judge someone who's going through this. It's very quick to even judge yourself, where you feel like I could try harder, I could have changed this, I could have done that. But remember that from the outside, things look very easy when we think about logic, right? If someone's hurting you, or if someone's physically hurting you, mentally hurting you, why would you put yourself through that? And what's sad is a lot of people don't have the empathy or sympathy for that person, because they immediately think, well, they're doing this to themselves. So it's important to understand that if it was that easy, they wouldn't be in it. Nobody wants to get hurt. No human being wants pain. It's something that's keeping them there, that they're confused, or they believe in, or they have morals of some sort of, credibility, even in their own gut, that they can save this. There's a lot of complexities in a person's brain. Or it can even be simple as, I'll take this because maybe financially I can't live this way, or how can I support children on my own without another person? There's so many reasons. So don't be quick to judge always. Maybe you can't change a person's mind, or you can't give them so much wisdom on this topic that you feel you could bring them out of, but just being there and holding their hand can be so impactful during this time. And that's what I can really say, and so important as you can do as a service for others.
And I'm going to put the ball back in the court of our viewers, because we talked about this, Dr. Bindu and myself. We always want to bring relevant information to you, what you all want to hear. So share what you would like us to discuss on the next show, because what's most important is what's important to you. And we always want to bring you great information and ways to help yourself, again, ignite and take flight. So we thank you. We appreciate you. And don't forget, go ahead and check her out. Get her book. Okay. Make sure you get her book. I'm going to bring it back up here. I'm going to play this again. I love the music on this. So you guys just hang in here with me. Get the book. Get the book. Get that book on Amazon.com. You will not be disappointed. You'll be enlightened. You'll be boosted, and it will help you help yourself ignite and take flight and break free from your plight. So thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time. And don't forget, you've got a friend right here in Dr. Bindu, as well as you've got me. So come on through next time when she comes back to help you help yourself ignite and take flight. We'll see you next time. Good night. So many people out there today are saying, hey, Lotus, I want to start my own podcast. I want to do blogs and all that. Well, guess what? We help you with personal and business coaching. We also help you to explode your brand by upbranding. We also connect you to people beyond your front yard that don't even know you. Let us help you connect with people globally and expand your territory. Contact us today at Lotus